Here are your gap and go trades for the week of August 26th through the 30th. I will go over price targets, have a gap recap from August 19th through the 23rd, and update the chart as well. Hi everyone, it's Dow on the Dow. First up is RIVN. We ended the week at $13.96, up 8.98%. To the north side from where we are takes us to one level of resistance, and that is at this line, 1420. Above that, 1451, 1482. VWAP is at 1372. The upper channel of VWAP and the lower channel of VWAP is in the pink, and that would be your support line. But the middle of the trend on the linear is 1356. This is also another level of support and a potential buy-in area. To the south side of that takes us to roughly 1294, 1262, and 1230. As far as the gaps go from the previous week, we had a gap open up right here on Thursday. So this gap is still in play, just a very tiny one, taking us down to 1281. This gap is still in play, taking us down to $12, and that one opened up on the 26th of June. Right? And we are in an upward channel on the 5-minute time frame. And note the clear sell signal at resistance, another level of resistance, falling down to support, and then a bounce off of that. Next up is Tsla. And this is where I'm tracking for Monday. This is the end of the week. So we will be filling in this little gap here. And right now it looks like on the 5-minute, we are in a downward channel. Now your targets to the north side, 221.59, 223.95, 226.33. VWAP in the blue is 218.51. To the south side of that, roughly 216.78, 211.83, 209.44, 207.07. I draw out these lines, but I do not anticipate we get to that level. All day long, though, price will stay within -2 in the red, and 2 standard deviations. Anything outside of that is an outlier and a clear buy and sell signal, depending upon what it is that you are trying to do, what your goal is. As far as the gaps go, this one opened up on Thursday, still in play for this upcoming week. I have no idea when it's going to touch, but what I can do is mark it out. All right, 211.19, I'm going to anticipate it to fill next week. And actually, if we drop down to here, could maybe start to, well, definitely touch this part, but maybe Monday or Tuesday if we continue to go south. And note the the sell-off at resistance and the bounce at support. And this gap is a carryover as well, taking us down to 201.61. Clean that up. And this one touched here, so that's done. And we've got this gap to the upside, so that's nice to see. We tickled it here and then went south because that was resistance, and you could have anticipated that move. So this gap is still in play to the upside, taking us to 246.23, and we are moving farther away from that gap fill because we are headed south. And what else? Oh, and we've got this one to contend with as well, taking us down to 144.88. Oh, I wanted to say one thing about RIVN I noticed when I was looking at it. So for the week of Monday the 12th, we started off at $13.95 and we went up, down, well, up and then down, kind of sideways, and then bounce off of support, and then look where we ended for the week. Basically, retracing this move, and then hopefully another leg up. The 1-year price target is $17.91, up 28.32%. But remember, when you flip it to the different time frames, you're going to get different buy and sell signals. So it's not going to be the same as what you see. Okay, now on to Sofi. We ended the week at 752, up 4.59%. Resistance takes us to 756. Ignore the pink lines. Those are my previous buy-in lines. I'm not sure if I've sold out yet, but I will talk about those trades in a different video. See the big picture. 766 and 775. VWAP takes us to 745. Another level of support, 738, 719, 710. And I do not anticipate we get to this level at $7, but if we flush to the south side with a candle wick, I will anticipate a buy-in as people buy the dip. Looking left, this gap is still in play to the south side for this upcoming week. Closing out at $7. That one's done. And the next one I will be taking a look at and tracking takes us to $8. Not in the channel, not in the zone. I would say not even close just yet, but maybe another week out. But if that's close to you, then that's close. But we could tank all of a sudden and turn around. Now this gap is still in play to the south side. I will carry that into next week. Move it along. Okay, and I'm not tracking any other gaps to the south side, it looks like. Next one is Tsly. I'm in this one as well. 1402 is where we ended. Up 3.62%. Sorry, I just had to get a drink of water. Note the downward channel we are in. 1411, 1422, and 1435. VWAP 1394. Another level of support 1387, 1363, 1350, and 1338. This gap needs to be extended. We opened up on on Friday. Now, as far as this gap, that's still in play as well. We should definitely hit this one on Monday. And what other gap? Oh, let me clean up this. This bigger gap here, taking us to 1437, is still in play. And this gap, oops, Command Z, at 1409, I just drag it out. Remember, I have no idea where it's going to touch, and it touched on Monday out of the gate. So this gap is no longer in play. Up to 1409, we ran up. That was just the middle of the trend there. Ran up some more. Couldn't quite make it up to this level, and sometimes it doesn't, and that is resistance still. And then we go down sideways a little bit with a little bit of a bounce, and then boom, a flush to the upside. So that's out, done. And this is the next one. And to the south side, I'm not tracking anything, but I believe it looks like we could go sideways for a little bit and then go back down, maybe to retrace somewhere along here, and then make our way up. And there are no price targets for ETFs because they don't do that. Only only tickers that are stock tickers. So ETFs, you have to figure it out on your own. So flip it to the different time frames, the daily, the weekly, the monthly, and you can kind of get a sense of where we could be heading. NEO is next. So we are in an upward channel on the 5. My cousin was just telling me that she's been in this one, and I've been in this one as well. And some of us have lost a lot of money with NEO because we followed the wrong people, didn't know enough about trading. And now that I do know, I made some major mistakes, and I will not basically just listen to one YouTuber, okay? Learn to read the charts yourself. You can see where you're headed, where you've been, and then make a more informed decision on whether you should buy or not. But look at this. The 52-week high is $11.35, but in the bigger picture, it was a lot more than that. And so if you bought in way higher, I mean, we are in the dumps now. But I'm not selling. I'm clawing my way back. That's all I'm going to try to do. Or you could take and harvest a tax loss, but I'm not really into that because I don't need that money. I'm okay with it. Let's see. So back, I digress. The price is now at 408, up 2.26%. This is where we are. To the north side, VWAP is, well, actually VWAP is at 409, okay? And the middle of the trend there, 412, 417, 420, and 422. I do not anticipate we get to this level, but if we do, anticipate a pullback as people take their profits and they leave. They will lock in and leave you. But I really should take out 3 and 4 standard deviations because typically majority of stocks don't get there. And if they do, it's going to either bounce off of that if it's at support or sell off at resistance. So if you play conservatively, you just keep the -2 and 2 standard deviations. All right. So it looks like all we are doing right now is retracing this move. The 1-year price target is 679. Thank goodness. But still, that's nothing. Okay, note the clear buy signal, support, 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 sell off here, and then sell off here. Now, as far as the gaps go, this one is still in play for the upcoming week from here to here. So that opened up right out of the gate on Friday. Excuse me, on Monday. All right, so this is going to take us down to 395. And we are moving farther away from that bottom. Thank goodness. But that is still in play, something that will haunt us. And this will haunt us as well, taking us down to 374. And that is your opportunity to also buy, but you have to be patient. Right now, we are in an upward channel. So take a look at this one. This was a carryover, all right? And this started on Friday, the 2nd of August, still in play. I'm gonna move this out of the way. It's this green line. So for this past week, we touched out of the gate on Monday morning, the 19th. So this is no longer in play. Delete any, oops, Command Z. All the price points that I delete means that the gap has filled. So that's done. And then the nice, oh, look at this. So you got to go back and clean the chart. And sometimes I don't go back far enough. But this one touched, clean that up. That is done. That was to the south side at 443. And then look, we just cratered. And that one touched right about there. And then that touched to the downside at 413. Now the next 468, this target right here. And then don't even think about those. Not in the channel. This isn't even in the channel, in the zone. Not even close. Just something to be aware of as we potentially retrace that move. All right, Intel. I did do a trade. Well, I hit a sell limit because I forgot to change it because I was out of town. And it hit and I forgot to move it. Oh well, I did make some money though. 8% it looks like. All right, so first, your price targets. Unfortunately, we are in a downward channel, but that's okay. That is an opportunity to get in if you're not. But if you're in and you bought in higher, obviously it's not a good thing. Depends on what side of the coin you are on, what side of the fence. 2054 up 2.19%. VWAP is at 256, very close, so we'll hit that. 2090, 2113, and 2136. To the south side, 1997, 1974, and 1951. Again, ignore the pink lines. Those are my previous buy-in lines. This gap opened up on Thursday, so this is still in play for the upcoming week. And I anticipate we will hit that and probably fill it. And that will take us down to 2012. This gap, we gapped up, so I anticipate it to fill to the south side. Okay, and that will take us down to 1994. All right, and this ugly gap is still in play also. So if you thought that you lost your opportunity to get in at a lower price, there are some opportunities coming up. All right, so 3 gaps to be aware of in this upcoming week. And if we continue to stay in this channel, that could touch on Wednesday. Now, to the upside though, we've got this one right here taking us up to 2148. This is the gap box here. I had to change the color so I don't mix it up. But this is my sell line right here. I was trading this because I saw the gap, so I was playing a gap fill. And then we've got this to the upside here, but we are moving farther away. That's 2198. CVS, I've got to move this along here. We ended the week at 58.75, up 1.75% to the north side. Let me move this line out of the way for a moment. 58.98, 59.47, and 59.93, 94, 95-ish. Okay. Note the downward channel we are still in. VWAP is 58.59, 58.01, 56.50, and 56.04-ish. Look at that. That would close out this gap very nicely. And speaking of gaps, let me draw that out. This is still in play for the upcoming week, and it opened up on the 15th of August. We need this to close so this does not haunt us anymore, and then that way we can turn around. At least that's what I'm thinking. So we've got this big bopper of a gap fill. It looks like 2. So this is taking us to 67.70. Not in the channel, not in the zone, not even close. And then this one takes us up to 63.19. As far as any other gaps to the downside, that is it. Yeah, watch out for this one. Let it tank, and then potential buy-in at support. Boeing, this one's nasty. 174.96 is where we ended. So I'm tracking from this period to this period, and we are in an upward channel so far. Again, things can whip around on you. 176.96 up 1.27%. VWAP 179.19. 176.65, 177.38, 178.04 to the south side. 173.86, 173.16, and 172.47. Okay, this gap is still in play. Down to 169.01, but we are moving farther away from this closure in an upward channel. And this will take us to 179.26, and that could touch if we continue our path on Monday. And that one closed out, so that's good. And the next one will take us to roughly 198. But we're not in that channel, not in the zone, not even close. Nike. We ended the week at 84.05, up 0.77% to the north side. 84.61, 84.92, 85.25, VWAP 83.84, 83.33, 83.01, 82.69. Note the buy in here at support, 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 but when we go up, that turns into resistance, and then that tanks the stop typically when you're at resistance. So many levels in here for support and resistance. Okay, so there's a gap to the south side, taking us down to 78.69. And thank you to Murat for pointing that out back on the 18th. And when we have earnings in 31 days, it looks like. But the gap that will take us to the upside will fill at 94.27. So I will extend that. And then down to 72.67. Big range there. But that's why you take it one day at a time. Price typically will stay in that -2 and 2 standard deviations all day long. And finally, Chipotle. I pass a Chipotle all the time. I never go in it. I've only been into a Chipotle once, and I believe that was during COVID. I've got to give it another try because I do love those tostada bowls, and I don't know if they have it, but if they do, I'm there. All right, 53.71, up 0.49%, 54.13, 55.04, 55.50, and 55.97. VWAP is 53.49. Your target to the downside, 53.19, 52.75, and 52.25. Note the bounce here at support, support, sell off at resistance, resistance, and obviously other levels of support and resistance, but I'm just talking about the 2 standard deviations, the middle of the trend, or -2 standard deviations. And this gap is still in play, taking us up to 55.83. Yeah, fingers crossed. Oops. Crossed that we get up to this level, and that could touch maybe on Tuesday if we continue to go up. But this is a gap fill. That is the target, and once that hits the target, I will take it off of my gap and go trades and then find a different play. Well, that does it for me. Have a great trading week.